I'd like to call the regular board meeting of Wednesday, May 14th, 2025 to order. It is now 5:15. Please stand for that on the agenda for the allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. President, for longtime educator and administrator for Los Angeles School at Tampa University, Mr. Joe Pavia. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you on the agenda. Roll call, please.
Board Member Dan Romero.
Present.
Board Member Dave Sevilla. Board Secretary Dr. Joseph Rivera. President Board Vice President Claudia Gonzalez.
Present.
Board President Michael Savant.
Present. We have a quorum, thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented. A motion by Mr. Romero, a second. Okay. A second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes.
President, I make a motion that we approve the minutes for April 17, 2025 special board meeting, April 24, 2025 regular board meeting, and April 29, 2025 special board meeting.
I have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Dr. Mazur. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public input. We have no public input. Next item on the agenda is finance report. Mr. Gonzalez.
Finance committee met yesterday, May 13th. We reviewed the April 30th, 2025 bank reconciliation reports for the general and student activity fund and the student activity fund balance report. No variances were noted. The committee also reviewed the following: cash balance report by fund, operating expenditure and revenue reports by fund, purchase orders issued in April of 2025, pledge collateral report, payroll journal report, capital outlay and bond report, and the April student activity deposits. The fiscal year 2025-2026 operating budget was reviewed and recommended to be approved by the board. The committee reviewed the following bars and would like to recommend approval of the following: A through K and N through O, and a ratification bar L. So bar 0012 M fund operating maintenance, bar and year and legal bar. C bar 0013 operating fund maintenance bar. D 0025 direct bar from PED increase of $2,435.19. Bar 0045 athletics fund transfer. F bar 0046 for Title II transfer. Bar 0047 for Carl D. Perkins transfer. Bar 0048 for Medicaid maintenance. Bar 0049 for family income index transfer. And J bar 0050 for the next transfer.
Next meeting is scheduled for June 17th.
June 17. So
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Next item on the agenda is consent items. We have to remove all the consent items, which you need to break out the bars, and then you have one application. Oh, yeah, that application. Let's go. Very good, you mentioned that we're approving the committee, but we're going to bring it to the board. Which is all water. So the motion to
That's cool. Madam Superintendent's recommendation on all the parts.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I recommend approval of bars, A through K as presented.
You go also. Or no, I thought that's what you're asking. So upon that recommendation, I'd like to make a motion that we approve bars A through K.
I have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Dr. Reserve. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. The others, Mr. Romero and Dr. Reserve, they will be presented at next month's meeting on the committee. They were not needed this month, but the committee had already approved. So we'll present to the board this week. So I have a motion to approve the bar, I have a motion to approve items B and items C tables with the expenditures report. A motion by Mr. Gonzalez. Do I have a second? All seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is presentation. Item A, excellence in student achievement awards, Ms. Zero, Mr. Pacheco. Madam Superintendent.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to call out, the Hill. Gloria Baca Pacheco, she's present, and Mrs. Mara. These ladies were nominated and were approved by our school board in receiving an excellence in student achievement award. The track, signified, this is presented by the New Mexico School Boards Association in cooperation with the local board of education in recognition of the outstanding role played in student achievements at Las Vegas City School. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Hill, and Mr. Checker, thank you so much for all you guys have done and that you did. Next item on the agenda is item B. Greenacres Mental Health for grade students, Ms. Ortiz.
Hello, members of the board, this is on the line. I'm Donna Ortiz and I'm here tonight with some of my Greenacres Health First program students who are all of these looking here behind me. And this is Chelsea Lisa. She's the behavioral health therapist at the center. And together we collaborated over 8 weeks to get our students certified in mental health first aid. So we have about 20 students at Hudson that are now behavioral health educators in mental health first aid. And they're here tonight to tell you a little bit about their training as well as their individual projects that they did research on. And Chelsea will tell you a little bit about what her expectations were in terms of the content and curriculum that was provided to ensure that they were properly trained.
Hi. So I came across a really great curriculum
for teen mental health, and it was 6 modules that were carried over 8 weeks. And it was pretty amazing just to see how the students grew, and not only being able to maybe identify some disorders, but it was really, what do you do with somebody who has an eating disorder, or if you see some depression. So I was really excited to help the students recognize different disorders, and then also they specialized in each disorder. So they each picked where they were assigned a disorder, and they had to really figure out what would you do if you had a student that was depressed. So it was great fun, and I hope they enjoyed it.
Hi everybody, thank you guys for having us here today. My name is Asia Flores. I'm one of the lead coordinators of the Dreammakers program. All of us here are part of the Dreammakers healthcare program in our school. And for the whole school year, we've been certified with things such as domestic violence awareness. All of us here are CPR certified. We have diabetes prevention, and then obviously mental health training. And thank you to Chelsea for 8 weeks out of a busy schedule to kind of help us get educated to be able to spread awareness in our school. So yeah, I think that was kind of really unique, and we'll talk about more about our trainings and stuff.
Part of Dreammakers, we had the opportunity to attend mental health birthday training. This lasted a total of 8 weeks, and we had to complete 8 sessions before becoming certified. We went over mental health disorders such as anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, ADHD, and eating disorders. So I thought it was pretty cool, and I'm thankful for the opportunity that we got in our school. So I'll now hand it over to Ellie.
So over the 8-week course, we created slideshows and presented at teacher conferences recently. And we all, like Chelsea said, there are assigned disorders, and I myself have ADHD. Hi, my name is Lauren Conway, and something I wanted to add is, after learning about all of these disorders, it's more common than you think. A lot of people have these disorders, and it's not just things. So that's something that we learned with Chelsea. My disorder was schizophrenia, and schizophrenia impacts a person's behavior, ability to think and feel. Hello, my name is Kate Wolf. I'm a professional specialized in bipolar disorder.
My name is Dr. Brown. I was assigned the depression disorder, and one of the things that I really noticed that stood out to me was depression is really common in young people, and I think it's important that we peer health educators also now more able to notice the signs of depression, and we can help others if we do see signs.
Me and Ethan worked on a project together, and our topic was anxiety disorders. And I think, now that all of us here are peer educators, it's important for the school to know that, and know that they have so many people to go to. And it was a privilege for all of us to learn what goes into all of these different, like, depression, and how young that signs can happen and stuff like that. So yeah, so thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
We refuse or coordinator, what are there are teachers and staff required to CPR?
Well, I think some are putting that in their chat meeting where they want to know when teachers. Everybody, that's oh.
Sorry, wasn't prepared for this session, but yeah, being CPR certified is something that a lot of people need to do. It's something that comes in handy. So I think I think, at the chef meeting yesterday, we went over all the good things that we did this year and, like Wellness Wednesday, we're all part of our Wellness Wednesdays team and we would have those once a month and that was great, but still we have lots of room for improvement. So I think that's something that we definitely look forward to get, teachers and stuff CPR certified. I mean, all of us are, so we could all work together to get a group certified as well.
I know you guys are missing several students, I know summer's at softball, at state, and baseball, and state right now. I know my daughter's cares for the with the Jamie prison. She tried CPR on several nights at home. Facts.
It comes in handy. Mr. Chairman, I would answer Mr. Romero's question. We are working with Constant Associates in future focused education. We did receive a grant from future focused education to, I mean, our staff on mental health first aid. So that will take place, next year, October 13th. So that is scheduled. Then, Constant Associates will be here, have been here this year, working with Ms. Ida Spiegel's office and her staff coming in Friday. The training is mostly for, we do paper. But they have been and will continue to.
Thank you, Department of Health. You will also have this to do. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, AJ. Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Next item on the agenda is NHFA bioethics, Mr. Ortiz.
So classes that I teach is a biomedical science class at Robertson, and I have in this class. And here, we cover many topics. These kiddos have continued to learn about the impact of psychiatric drugs on adolescents. They've learned about the impact of different types of things, diet, inactivity, smoking, stress, alcohol, on all of the different systems. And I tell them very proud I done with them. They've learned so much and I'm incredibly proud. So we're here tonight to talk a little bit about one of the last units that we do, which is our bioethics unit. And each one got to choose their topic and they're here to tell you a little bit about their topics and their format. And again, I am incredibly proud of them.
Good afternoon, my name is Alexia Gonzalez. My topic was what advanced directives are, and my format was an informational board. So, does anyone know what an advanced directive is? Would you like to answer? No, I asked you.
No, I don't.
Advanced directive is something, it's legal paperwork that you can get filled out for end of life care in the case that you are no longer able to respond or choose what you want yourself. So for example, CPR and AED, you would get like an advanced directive for that. And the do not resuscitate. So I went over 3 cases on my board that deal with advanced directives. So first there's the Selena Quintanilla case, and she was a fake seizure. She passed away because she was shot and killed by Yolanda Sandoval. And there's a lot of rumors going around that she didn't get blood work done, like they didn't give her a blood transfusion because of her religion, which is something very important when it comes to advanced directives, because religion, things like financial status, and a lot of things can affect what you get an advanced directive on. So because of her religion, she was a Jehovah's Witness, they don't get blood transfusions. So there's a lot of rumors going on that her dad didn't let her, she would have lived if she did get one. But she actually did end up getting one. Her dad did let her get one, and she passed away anyway. But that was a big thing that the fans complained about, that she would have made it. So there's that case, and then the Terry Schiavo case. Terry Schiavo, went into cardiac arrest because of a potassium deficiency in 1990. And 8 years later, her husband wanted to get her to drop the baby juice because he knew she wouldn't want that, but her family fought it. And so it took until, I think, 2003 to get her off of it. And in the middle of that, there was a Terry law put in Florida saying that no one can get in the tube to the group without the legal paperwork. So it would have been really good if she had it extracted, because she could have got that in tube to the group 2 years ago, or her husband had to go through all the legal work and fight it for almost 15 years. And my last case was a hospital study case where a lady she had been on ventilators a lot, and she knew that she would never want to be on ventilators for a long period of time. So she decided to get an advanced directive and gave it to her daughters and hoped that they would fulfill her wishes if that ever did happen. So she did end up going on a ventilator for a long time, and things didn't work out because she had that advanced directive and they followed it, and she passed away peacefully. So those are some of the advanced directive cases. Now I'll pass it over to you.
Good evening, everybody. I just first want to thank you guys for letting us come and present these to you guys. We put a lot of work into it, and it's really an honor to be here to talk to you about it today. So Lexington went over what an advanced directive is, and just basically what an advanced directive is. My topic that I chose for my presentation was the physician's role in getting an advanced directive. Does anybody know what the physician's role is? Okay. So the physician's role is super duper important when who's getting an advanced directive, because, and it's very simple. It's just the basis of honoring what your patient wants. If they have legal documentation that they present in front of you, whatever's on there, no matter your own personal morals or values, you need to honor what your patient wants. And sadly, it's something that doesn't happen very often. It's something that needs to be talked about more. So the advanced directive that my project really focuses on is a DNR, or do not necessity order, because sadly, those are the advanced directives that don't get listened to the most often. So for my 3 case studies, one was of an old woman named Mary Cooper. She went into the hospital, stomach cancer. She went to the hospital for a routine checkup. She already had a DNR filed into the hospital, which again is legal documentation saying that she didn't want any life-saving methods, no CPR, no artificial nutrition, no defibrillation, nothing. She believed, and it was because of her own Christian values, she believed that once it was her time, she wanted to go. Well, because there was a complication with her routine checkup, and they performed a full code on her. So they did CPR, they did defibrillation, and they put a ventilator on her. So that means they inserted the tube down her esophagus to help her breathe. And when her family found out about this, they didn't like it. They said she has legal paperwork. You guys need to take that out. So they removed the feeding tube from her, and it put her in a lot of pain. She eventually developed septic shock from it, and she stayed in that hospital for a good 12-day stay. And she, as far as I know, and as far as I can research, she is still alive, but she needs round-the-clock care now from family members. Another case that I found was from a woman named Celeste. It happened in Florida. She was at home with a friend, collapsed in the bathroom. The friend called 911 and then found her DNR paperwork, which she presented to the paramedics as they arrived on the scene. The paramedics didn't take the time to read through it, just threw it out the door and performed a full code on her, took her to the hospital, and she eventually died at the hospital. And then another case was a woman that stayed anonymous, but her family wanted to talk about her case because they believed that it was important. She had DNR, didn't want to see it. She was even put in a room at the hospital that had on the door, do not resuscitate. They have those rooms because these precautions are so important. And she coded, doctors performed a full code on her, CPR and everything. They did resuscitate her, but she did eventually die 12 days later. And her family did say that they were very happy that she passed away when she wanted to and that the code didn't work. That means that while her DNR wasn't honored, she still got what she wanted to do. So really, it's very sad, and it's something that definitely needs to be talked about more. And another thing that is very ethically questioned when it comes to the physician's role on our advanced directives is physician-assisted suicide and euthanasia. So physician-assisted suicide and euthanasia is very heavily ethically questioned and isn't fully legal around the United States. But there are a lot of states, including Mexico, that do allow it. It is legal here. So physician-assisted suicide can either go from, I found a case where a patient went into their doctor's office, told them that they didn't want to be alive anymore, and the doctor just prescribed them a heavy dose of sleeping pills, sent them on their way, and they committed suicide there. Euthanasia is like what they do to patients on death row, or people on death row. It's a lethal shot or injection that they give to the person that will eventually kill them. So it's super ethically questioned, and it is a super important role because that is that physician's call at the end of the day. Another thing that Ms. Ortiz has to do with our presentations was a bilingual component. So we each got to change the language to feed into our presentation however we could. I know some of us chose Spanish, I think Nathan did sign language, I chose French because I'm moving to Washington the end of this year and they speak a lot of French in that region of the country. But some benefits of just Ms. Ortiz really wanted to learn the benefits of knowing more than one language and being bilingual. And it really comes down to a bunch of things. It can be beneficial when it comes to getting employment. You can get raises if you know more than one language. It helps you do your job better because you can communicate with more people. And it has a lot of cognitive improvements as well, such as memory function. So it's just a super important thing. Does anybody have any questions about the physician's role of an advanced directive? Okay, I'm going to turn everything right over to
I'm Joanna Como, and my topic was legal and ethical aspects of the evolution of advanced directives in medicine. And I'm going to start with an example of that, which is bioengineered organs, which obviously like early on in the early days, there probably wasn't bioengineered or advanced technology that could be used to help a person if they needed something. And so I have a question, would you guys feel comfortable having like an artificial or bioengineered organ or implant put in you?
Yeah.
So I personally, I don't know if I would, just because I don't know how much I would trust technology and AI these days and different things like that. But that's one example of the evolution of advanced directives is because if you were to say that you do want an organ or something put into you, it could be like AI or bioengineered. And so one of my cases was this 21-year-old girl, Karen Quinn, and she came home from a party and was rushed to the hospital, and she was put on a ventilator. And she stayed like that for a very long time, and she was not able to speak for herself. And so her parents went through court to see if they could speak for her in taking off the ventilator because she was making her progress. And the court decided that in this case, since she was not able to speak for herself, that her parents could please take off the ventilator, and to everyone's surprise, she was able to breathe on her own. And she stayed in a coma for 9 months after that, and then she did pass away. I have on my board the advanced directives packet, and there's 8 pages in there. So it just goes through the different like legal aspects of it and the different options you could fill out that you may or may not want if you want an advanced directive or not. And like Naomi said, we all have a bilingual part to this project, and mine was Spanish. So I'm gonna say it in English and then say it in Spanish. So for my bilingual part of this project, I decided to choose Spanish. I speak and understand a little bit of Spanish, and the majority of my family speaks Spanish. I thought it would be the perfect bilingual piece to add to my project. I think that being bilingual not only in the healthcare field, but in any job is important. Healthcare providers need to be able to communicate and understand their patients to give them the best possible care needed. And sometimes not every patient will be able to speak English, so it is important that the healthcare provider is bilingual. Para este proyecto bilingüe decidí escoger español. Hablo y entiendo poco español y la mayoría de mi familia habla español. Por eso yo pensé que fue una idea hacer español parte de mi proyecto bilingüe. Pienso que ser bilingüe es muy importante en cualquier trabajo, más de todos en carreras de salud. Profesionales de salud necesitan poder comunicarse y entender a sus pacientes para darles el mejor tratamiento que necesitan, y no todos los pacientes van a poder hablar inglés. Por eso es muy importante que los profesionales de salud hablen español y en Nuevo México y las áreas alrededor. I think that was it for mine, so I'll pass it over to me.
Hello, my name is Nathan Gonzalez, and for this for the bioethics project, I chose, should you have an advanced directive or not? So the format of my project was a decision tree, so I had questions leading up to conclusion on whether or not a person would or would not benefit from having an advanced directive. And so we had this presented at the Wellness Wednesdays, we had it set up. I would just ask you this question leading up to conclusions. And so mostly people said that they wouldn't benefit from one and that they would trust their them or their doctors to make decisions for them. And in my project, I had a component talking about when a man in Florida had come to the hospital, he had a do not resuscitate or DNR to his chest. So one question was whether or not you think that should be possible. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Legal aspects. Something.
Okay. The other thing, it does depend. So some people did really have paperwork stating that they didn't want to be resuscitated. But for one of my examples, the man in high school, he'd been dared after he lost the game of poker to have DNR tattooed onto his chest. So it does depend, and it's obviously really tough to figure out. But that was a big project, a big aspect for my Bible situation. And for my second language, I chose ASL for my second language. So I am taking ASL 1 last year for a good grade class. And I learned a lot in that class, especially when I had to help teach an autistic nonverbal child some science to kind of help her communicate in class better. And so I think it was really important to be able to communicate past English or past what I do know, especially with someone so young to talk to her. For my cases, one of them was in London. The woman, she had been in a car accident, and she didn't want to have artificial nutrition. So whenever the hospital did place her under artificial nutrition, even when we did have an advanced record stage, she wouldn't. It took about 21 months to get the hospital removed due to the family figuring out what to do. And she did pass away once the tubes were removed, but the family sued the hospital and they did push it. I believe that's all for my project, but we have a survey that we did done.
So we did a survey on advanced directives and end of life care. And we did this because we wanted to get an idea of the staff and students at our school, like how many of them know what an advanced directive is or what they think about them, like the question we asked some of you. Including like the tattoo, we went over some of that stuff. So we just wanted to get a good idea of like how many people know, because when we were doing our research, only about 39,000 people in the United States know what an advanced directive is, and that's a really small number. So we wanted to see if that's the same at our school or if it's lower, higher. So that's the reason we did a survey.
So I think that's what I'm saying, Wellness Wednesday last month, I made the surveys and, I think we also some pictures, it's right here, there was 8 questions. And whatever students and even teachers that were interested in to our table, we had them fill it out, we printed 60, which is 20, I think 20% of the school population, sorry, and, like Alexia was saying, we just wanted to see how many people at our school knew about advanced directives and knew the importance of it.
So we're gonna go over a couple of questions that we had. So one of them was how comfortable are you discussing topics related to end of life care? And so our 4 answers were very comfortable, somewhat comfortable, uncomfortable, or not comfortable at all. So what we somewhat comfortable, very comfortable, uncomfortable, or not at all. Someone.
So our most popular answer was actually very comfortable. While not a lot of people, especially high schoolers, knew about this topic, everybody was most commonly very comfortable speaking to us about it. Because not only did we do the survey, but we also talked to them if they had time about our course and how interested for you guys. And everybody was really curious to learn and know about it.
Then another was we believe high school students should learn about end of life care and advanced directives as part of our healthcare science classes. And our answer was yes, and why, or no.
What do you guys think? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the actually most common answer that we got. We got 55 answers that were yes out of our total. So majority of our high school population, whether it was teachers that teach there or high school students that actually attend all the curriculum, all think that we should be learning how Congress is teaching us about finance.
And then our last question was, do you think financial profit play a role in decisions about end of life care? Our answers were yes, why, no, why, or not sure.
What was the question? Do you think financial costs should factor into end of life? Yeah, and so.
See, that's.
Sure goes.
So our most common answer was actually no. Many people think that financial costs shouldn't affect advanced directives or end of life care. Because that is a very major role in advanced directives and end of life care. And that was just a few questions out of the entire survey that we asked for school population. We generally got what we assumed we get. When we put this together and we formed our actual hypothesis, we all kind of had an idea of what we thought the school population would answer with, and that's basically what we got from the population. There was no questions that really shocked us of the answers that we got. Many people don't know about them, and many people think that they should be taught and talked about more. And I think it's shied away from because it's such a deep topic. It's something that's not easy to talk about, but it's something that Mr. T really took the approach of and really taught really well. And I think we can get a much better understanding of the topic itself. And then to close out, we all wanted to talk about for biomedical science as a whole and what we kind of learned and taken away from the year. The 4 of us are the only students in that class, and we're all seniors, so we're all leaving this year. Majority of us have been with her since our sophomore year of high school, and she has taught us an amalgamation of things. And every year you think, we got it all down, because her TC's taught us everything. And then the next year you come back, she's like, nope, there's more. And it's but it's really just, it's so cool to see the puzzle pieces fit together, and it's so cool to apply it to real life. And we really love her and appreciate her that she's done for us.
For me, I've definitely learned way much more about my body writing. And like Naomi said, over the last few years, it's really cool to finally go put everything together and see how it runs side by side. Because we've definitely gone to very restricted detail on how I would take protein, the amount of flow charts we've all made, color coding we had to do for neuro, It's crazy. So it's impressive how much I retained and memorized throughout class.
Yeah, I didn't have to agree with them. I learned so much information that I can't even like remember to keep it all in my head anymore, but, like advanced directives, I had no clue what those were before we started it. And now I can talk about them so easily and like teach others about them. Same with how body parts work and the muscles and everything like that. I learned a lot about the heart and how that works. So I learned a lot from her. And she taught it great way for it easy to understand and it was fun to learn.
So we're gonna move from vocabulary to now more recently even to blood pressure in like manual and not with the fancy tools that they have now. And I feel like I have learned so much in this class and I'm gonna be able to take it with me because I plan on going into nursing. And I feel like I like have a head start now and will be able to succeed because of this class, and I have truly loved every assignment and project, and she teaches different classes I've taken into, and everything that I have been taught has actually stayed in my head, and so, I really loved your class.
So, to close, I want to say thank you guys for allowing us again to come up here and present all of the stuff that we've learned. And we want to make a huge thank you to Mr. Reese for everything.
Thank you, Mr. T. for everything you do. I know one of you mentioned that you guys are going to nursing. Do any the rest of you three have a class where it's not fulfilled? That's great, thank you. Any other questions?
So just, students, thank you for being here. I know especially our mental health students. I know that's a difficult conversation to have with one another, but it's so important. 'Cause I know when I was a student, it was almost taboo, people didn't talk about mental health. And now that the conversation is open, especially if you talk to your peers about it, you could change someone's life by just having a conversation. So thank you for doing what you're doing and being leaders in our community, leaders in the school. Same thing for our biomed students. You know, and life there isn't an easy topic, but you're never too young to have that conversation. So again, Mr. Keys, thank you for leading this great group of students, thank you for being leaders in our school. Thank you so much.
There's no other questions. Next item on the agenda is item E, Steeple, Public Finance.
Good evening, President Quintana, members of the board. Brad Hanks, joined by Nick Ray, service the district's financial development. Thank you for having us. A couple months since we visited with you, we wanted to be back in front of you and do a little more detail, a little deeper dive here this evening. Reviewing your debt portfolio, your bill levies, some of the upcoming items that we're working on as you continue to work with PSCOC and PSFA on some of your different projects.
we wanted to present to you some options that you will have to do from your side. There will be a local contribution if you're to get awards for some of those projects. And so I wanted to walk you through, look at some of the timing associated with that, and also how we can manage that process for you as we move forward here. So I'm going to look you through the presentation and start on page 4 here. This is a look at the historical assessed valuations. So the assessed valuation is the value of all the property within the school district boundaries. And really, this is the portion that's used to help fund your facilities. So the state helps with the operation, they give you SEG money to pay for classrooms and salaries and the academic side of things. It's expected the way this New Mexico school command system works that you all take care of your facilities. There's some state programs that can help with that, but a mill levy tax rate is applied against this assessed valuation in order to produce a revenue to pay for some of those projects. So this is where we start. The district, as you can see in the top left, has had a steady growth, a pretty stable and steady growth here over the last few years. Not big jumps, but it's been right around a 2% average growth rate here in the assessed valuation. Now the state says, again, another item that comes with school plans here is that the bonding capacity of any school district is equal to 6% of your most recent assessed valuation. And so Las Vegas City Schools had the most recent valuation this past year of $335 million. So I'll look at that bottom left. And then when we do the calculation there at the top right of the page, 6% of that amount totals 20.1 million of bonding capacity. So that's how much bonds you can have outstanding at any one time. So over the last several years, you've taken care of some other projects, deferred maintenance, where you've issued some bonds or debt. So currently that amount now is 13 million. So you have 7 million remaining of your bonding capacity that you use for some of the facility projects. Now you're going to be paying those down every year, right? You're paying principal and making payments. And so as you make those principal payments, the amount actually grows every year. And so that's what this table in the bottom right of this page represents. And that's important because as you go through the PSFA process, they're going to look at how much of your total bonding capacity you've used. They want to know that you've paid your fair share in order for the state to kick in their portion of it. Now there's the state match and local match that we talked about. If you bonded to capacity and you have a mill levy that's above 10 mills, which you all do, you can also apply for waivers. So the waivers allow you to waive any additional local match after you've contributed what you can. And then the state, through that application process would agree to build up to a certain amount for a project. So if you used up all your local capacity and your projects cost more still, and you don't have those funds available, and you've shown that you contributed that local amount, and you have 10 mills, then you're eligible for that waiver. So big kind of part of it. We'll go into it a little bit deeper here as we keep going. I'm going to flip to the next slide. So that bonding capacity is one part of it. The other part of it is the mill levy component. And so what we have here is a historical look at the last 7 years of the mill levy. And looking over on the bottom right-hand side of this slide, you'll see that the total residential rate is about 12 mills here over the last 7 years or so. It's held pretty steady, but being above that 10 mill levy market total, that's what actually gives you some access to getting additional help. So as far as maximizing
your ability to get some state funding to help with this. We do recommend that we keep you above that 10, but as I'll show you here in a few minutes, we think we can actually reduce that tax rate a little bit and still get your full capacity. One thing to note, your SB9 levy, the 2 mil levy, is going to expire in 2027. And so with the timing of the election laws, you know, it's every odd year when you do your elections. And so if you wait until 2027, November of 2027 to take that SB9 renewal to your voters, it actually would be too late because you establish and you set your mill levy in August before that. And so we are recommending to our clients that have an expiration in 2027 to actually go out in 2025. If you don't do it in 25, then you'd have to look at a special election, which could be a little bit costly in 2026. So even though you go out in 25 and ask voters, you'd be asking them to renew the mill levy from 2028 for 6 more years. So it would say out to 2033. So we are recommending that would need some action in the summer, probably in July. So we just wanted to make you aware of that so you can start thinking about it, discuss. Let's see, moving to the next slide. So we talked about the assessed valuation and capacity, the tax rate or your mill levy. You know, the other component is your existing debt portfolio. And do you have room to layer on the student debt without affecting your taxpayers a whole lot? And so this is a look at the details of your existing debt portfolio. So right here on this page, you see 8 bonds going back to 2012. They're issued in a way where they're layered on to help maintain a steady tax rate. We evaluate these constantly, looking for opportunities to refinance, see if we can save money on these. At this time, most of these were issued over the last 10 years or so when interest rates were pretty low. So these all have pretty good interest rates right now, especially based on what rates are today. Not a whole lot of savings. This is how we do that. So as you'll see here the 8 different bonds on this page, and there's a couple more on the following page. So in your portfolio, when you aggregate them and you total them all up, it gives you your total debt service figure, which will be page 70. And it's in the column on the second from the right. Annual debt service totals about 2.8 per year is the current payment for these bonds. On the next slide, page 8, so the summary of these same debt issuances, a little bit easier to read if you're trying to get some of the information. List all of them out, when they were sold, the bonds were sold or issued, the original amount that you borrowed, which is called a par, or par amount, and then the current amount outstanding, and then the coupon, that's your interest rates, and the sort of coupon payment to the bondholders is what that means. The final maturity, that's the final payoff date. But at the call date in that last column, that's a prepayment option. So on a bond, when you have the call option, it means you as the district could call your bonds and then pay off investors early. But you have to wait until these particular dates to come near before you can do that refinancing to pay it off or use excess cash. So that's that slide. Moving on to slide page 9. This is the helpful tool and one that we use quite often. So the bar chart here represents your total payments. And so you'll see in 2025 and 26 on the front end, are kept where the current payments are, and there's a step down or drop off. And that's done intentionally so that you can layer on additional project funding or financing through bonds or other avenues in the future. without increasing your bill levy. So the whole purpose of that is so that you can layer on as you have projects that come around, or if you have deferred maintenance projects that may need to take place. And so you'll see in 2027, there's this big a step down or drop off in your payments. So a big part of our job is managing your bill levy, but also keeping you on track to have access to the bond money when you can. And so, believe it or not, even though you have that drop off in 2027, the time is actually now to get prepared for that. Much in the way of the SB 9 election, if you waited until 2027 for your next GO bond election, you would not be able to issue those bonds until 28, and then the first payment would be in 29. So we're recommending that you all start considering November for the bond election, and that would, again, if you got voter approval, if your voters supported that in November, you'd be ready after the county clerk certifies the results. You could look to issue your bonds probably in the winter or spring of 2026. And the first payment for that would fall in 27. You're usually 1 year out on your first payment for the bonds. So, so again, that's the timing that we are recommending. We'll start that conversation with you. It also coincides with some PSFA. We want you to have that voter approval and access to those bonds so that you hopefully have a successful application with PSFA, that you're able to tap into those funds and put out your contribution so that you can get the bigger projects done. So, moving forward, slide 10. Again, this is just in you know, in different of what I just explained. Really based on the timing of your current portfolio and when things are paid off, and also the needs. That is the main reason for moving forward at this point. But the other item is the PSFA and PSCOC has really had more funding than they've been doing over the last several years due to the oil and gas doing so well down in southeast part of the state and also in the Four Corners area. And so we do think if you have these big needs and projects that you're trying to take care of, it is the time to pursue them, to try and get these excess funds and help from the state through these waiver processes. The legislative session has renewed some of these options for the waiver. So we would, again, just recommend we try to do this within the next couple of years. And we feel a little bit of information on page 11 around elections, again, mainly speaking to, you know, the elections are every number of year. Once you call an election, again, if you do that, it's probably in the July timeframe. You have to look at county clerk, know by August 26th. For a bond election, your board member elections a little bit earlier. On election, you can notify them by August 26th. But once that election is called by this board, there's some rules that's around what you can talk to your constituents, your voters about. Be very factual. You can't try and sway a voter one way or another. So once we get a little bit closer to that, we recommend working with bottom council, your lawyers to help put all this together, and they'll help remind of the rules for the board so that we make sure it stay at the path. Excuse me. So again, page 12, this is another section here on the slide so that you can look at it in the future, but it's what I just described. You know, we're working on kind of a plan of finance right now here in spring of 25, moving into summer, as the board would consider putting an election to the voters so that your voters have that option decide. First Tuesday in November is when that occurs. And then, if it's successful, we begin starting in the spring of 26, when you have access to issuing that debt.
So Mr. Banks, for currently, you're recommending to go for the GO bond and the FTM.
I am, you know, there's some strategies, surrounding that. The SB 9 is it's important extra operational dollars to keep that going. And so, you know, some communities that maybe don't support the district is significant as they have here in the past. They're kind of anti-debt or don't do any bonding. Sometimes if you go with the GO bond, something like an SB 9 election at the same time, it could drag it going down. So I do want to point out that item. It's something we'll want to think about. With the SB 9, even if it failed, because it's already good through 2027, you'd actually have some other opportunities to go back to your community, whether it's through a special election in 26 or later as well. So it's definitely something we want to think through though, is continue to follow up.
And for the investor for the tax change further than the bar.
They will not. In fact, I'm just about to show you that analysis, page 13. We've evaluated a $12 million bond election and issuing that out over the coming years. And you can take that on. So that would put you at that level where the PSFA would approve you and consider you bonded to sufficient capacity. And you can actually do that amount without a tax rate increase or a levy increase. In fact, I think we could lower it probably by $1 billion if we needed to. That's based on some conservative projections here. If you'd like, I'll walk you through the analysis. I know we're getting a little bit deep into it here, but certainly provide that for you if you'd like to hear it. Just to kind of orient you here with the page and how we do this. We won't go into this detail every time, but starting on the left-hand side, you'll see your current assessed valuation. And so we need to look into the future when we contemplate on what we think that assessed valuation is going to be. Most conservative would just be to issue it based on no growth at all. And we try and largely do that beyond the next few years, because you don't know what's going to happen in the next few years. We don't necessarily know what's going to happen this year, but we have a better idea of the health of the community. So you'll see we have a growth factor there on the left-hand column, about 2%, which is slightly below your average growth rate. And we go out just 3 years on that. And so using that AV and then your current then schedule of repayment, we see the mill levy that would be required to be paid, or I'm sorry, to be levied in order to make those payments. So that's where we start, and then moving to the right, you can see that we layer on the new election items. And it doesn't have to be done in these amounts, but we did it for this analysis. We showed 5 million in 26 and then 7 million in 27. So the PSFA, if they approve you, they usually have a phase 1 and phase 2. They'll approve you to go out for design and engineering and to hire an architect. So you'll have to have funding at that time. And then phase 2, once you have those designs, they'll consider you to go out for a construction bid. And at that time, you have to pay your local match for the portion of the construction activity. So we broke it up into two to go with that timing. And as you move further to the right, you'll see that the projected debt service in the levy is right about that 0.7 mill levy level. When you add in your operational SB 9, and you also have HB 33, but that's kind of our standard column there, you get to be just above that 10 mil mark. So that's the important threshold of that 10, so that you can qualify for waivers to get additional state funding.
So that's, quick,
Yes, sir.
so just, if you could just educate me a little bit, like the projected assessed valuation. What is that, so what creates that valuation for our school district? What is that based?
Yeah, so the county assessor, evaluates all the property within the district, so it's residential homes, it's commercial property. If you're in an area that has mining or gas that you have to it, it's basically it's the value of all the property within the school district.
And that's not an assessment based on fair market value, that's totally different, correct?
It's a taxable set of valuation, so for a residential home, if you have a house that market value is $100,000. You only pay tax actually of $33,333, a third of it. So that's what's reflected here, projected assessed valuation. So it's not the market value, this is just the tax portion.
So like right now we have Legion Park Elementary, percent, just if it does sell, does that affect our valuation? Does that affect?
No.
As far as,
Well, if it's sold to a private entity, it would be taxable right now because it's a school district, it's taxable. So that could be
it could affect it, so it's small. Thank you.
So that's how we go through this and evaluate. On page 14, it's a look at that's similar bar charts. So the dark blue in this case represents your existing debt service. So that's those 10 bonds aggregated. So we wanted to show you how it's can layer on. So the orange and the yellow would be those two issuances that we talked about, the 5 and 7 million. And the green line there represents the mill levy rate. So you'll see from 25 to 26, we'll see it go down a tick, and then we hold it level for 5 years. And that's important. Usually with this, they approve these projects, they want you to have it, above that threshold for at least 5 years. And then it declines over the years. Again, we're always trying to leave you for future boards the option to be able to take care of projects. So it's going to be this declining debt structure that you always see us presented to you.
I have a question. So why is it that the state always wants you to be over that 10 million? Is that because they want you, the community, to have skin in the game, basically?
Yes, sir. Basically, that's the measurement that they've decided is sufficient to show that
Community has to take over the game.
but it can be pretty significant. State cooperation that we work with some other districts that they put in about 10 million of bonding money locally. And they were able to get about 100 million projects done, so 90 from the state. I mentioned this in meetings past. It's not necessarily going to be the same for you all, but I just want to show you that there is this upside to take it on. That concludes the presentation. I think the next.
So we'll be getting this presented back to us in July, so we can go up to see.
So we'll continue to work with staff, plan together, and then likely be back in front of you.
You want
Yes, sir. You have to mail ballots out, pay for them to go out, you have to buy my postage.
That's only if we miss in November.
Yes. Not that you-
But this year, wouldn't be, because we're not,
No, but if it doesn't pass in November,
all right,
and they want us to do a special election, that's.
you know, what's the thing?
So you message here, get, going out, it's not taxes.
I think that's some of the stuff that needs to put out at the time. Historically, I've always voted it down, several properties here, so I would say it's gonna affect my property taxes. So I think that's something that full information, you stated before, that we need to push out to the community, let them know our taxes.
Yeah, some of the things the other clients we work with districts do are say, you know, prepare a flyer or a brochure. You can put factual information on there. You can talk about how it will increase your property tax rate. You know, I've seen some op-eds or an article in the newspaper can be written from the school or the school board or superintendent to do that. Visits at the local coffee shop, the different clubs that may be around. Certainly get down and spread the word and providing that transparency, let folks know what it is, what it means. It's always been the best recipe for success. Just making sure people understand.
Historically, here on the state school side, I think it's passed the majority of the time when we go Mr. Mel. They have to go back.
The year before, I got one gas, but they increased property taxes, and ever since then, we've asked not to have the property tax increase, and it's continued to pass, but we haven't increased property tax.
We'll continue to work with staff. We're optimistic we can actually get this done and perhaps lower the rates.
So we look forward to seeing you back in London.
I just want to say thank you guys for being here. I'm only a board member for a little over a year, and so even just this brief presentation is very informative. So thank you for being here and informing us. Thank you so much for being here.
Our pleasure. Pleasure. If you need to set the finance committee, let's go. Help out there too.
Then on the agenda, old business. Next item would be new business, I've made out of state travel, RHS, Lady Department basketball program, coach meeting.
Good afternoon. First, don't have to be anyone for the rest of, but I have other duties after this. Eighth grade comic book chapter.
Who's reviewing your rest of
Good afternoon, Doctor and gentlemen of the board, Madam Superintendent, thank you for having a Lady Cardinal basketball program before you today. We're here for a request of out-of-state travel to Alamosa, Colorado, to participate in the Adams State University Women's Summer Basketball Camp. Those dates will be June 11th through June 14th of 2025. We are also requesting financial assistance to help defer the cost for the bus driver and fuel. Participating in events like this assist building team chemistry and team unity amongst the players, coaches, teams, and our overall program. It's a learning opportunity for our players to work on and improve their skills and abilities, and for our coaches to learn new things and work on coaching skills and abilities. We will take approximately 20 to 30 young ladies to the camp at Adams State. We will have our coaching staff and parent chaperones going with us to the team camp. So I know in the past, the board has been very generous in helping us with financial assistance to help pay for the bus driver and the fuel. Ms. Ida's fuel, the transportation department has always worked with us and in a great way. So thank you very much. Any questions from me?
No, so you're asking for the bus driver and fuel.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Ron.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve out-of-state travel for the Robertson Grove basketball team along with providing gloves, the bus driver fuel, and the $100 for keeping up with 10 students. If you come up with $100.
Oh, motion by Mr. Romero, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Gonzalez, on favor, signify by saying aye.
Hi,
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you for your.
Thank you, Dr. Donovan, appreciate it. Have a good evening, we'll go. Shout from now. Talk to you guys later.
Next item on the agenda is opioid overdose response policy, retreat and third round.
We have the opioid overdose response policy. This is, you've heard of Narcan, and I know you're part of the community, so you can probably better speak to them than that. But it is a policy where, we must pass and have our nurses certified to distribute medication. We want that to.
and that's part of the policy is to have a mercy to be able to
Of the authority.
issue to have. Well, within that, eventually we would like to get more staff and students certified. Dealing with that.
Those trainings, so that.
It's not. Mr. President, this, I make a motion that we accept this as a first reading,
I have a motion by Mr. Romero.
or okay,
Mr. President, may I also on this, Madam Superintendent, this policy, and talking to Chair, several part of the committee, this policy is also, a policy that's been accepted in other school districts as well, so it's been just adapted in our school system. So it's been a policy that is not new to the system. So I will second the motion as well.
I have a motion by Mr. Romero, I have a second by Dr. McBurn. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item C, bus contracts. Those here in December.
Because I used to move around. Okay, so. Superintendent, members of the board, all these. So what bus contracts are, we come before the board once a year, and our contractors, usually have done historically roll routes. And they bring in kids that are further away, so these contractors, serve by us. I don't want to speak. Okay, again, Trujillo, just 30 miles east. Rociada, Nascon, and Upper Rociada, Maestas Canyon. And we can get in and out. And like, which we've had lots of this week. And then, we have one that goes out to Country Acres, behind Story Lake. And the other one goes out towards the Story. And we have one more that is migrating into town as well. So what we do is we like to come to the board once a year and ask for this contract to be renewed. What Madam Superintendent did this year is something that had never been done before. And she standardized the rates because people were getting paid very different rates. And now it's standardized and our staff has been happy support. One contractor that has not been this.
Does it go before the finance committee?
Yes, they did, and they were voted big.
Was it in this house finance committee or?
It was.
So that is you. The last one? That is.
This was the put it on the notes for the meeting, but it was voted on. I don't need to stop and those are maybe this week they can vote on it.
Now, make a motion to accept or
I have one question. I know you stated that you have 4 contractors.
Correct.
Three were happy with one of those, what's gonna happen if the one hasn't met with you so far, if they don't come to meet with you, is that something that you're gonna reallocate? To the remaining three? So how will that affect the district?
So they district should or not renew the contract. If we would absorb them within the school district with our school buses.
Do we have personnel to do that?
We would combine premises.
Is there a deadline for this contractor to sign?
On Tuesday, so that's what we I assume. Yet the our goal is to have the agreement. Urgently.
Can you give us the board an update on the next meeting, just to see how that progresses, to make sure that he does, or doesn't? Mr. Moore?
On the note that we ratify for the council, the finance committee, or the clerk of the village, board on.
Motion by Mr. Brown. Do I have a second? I have a second by Dr. Mazur. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion to sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is B 2025-26 elementary arts program application. Ms. Gonzalez.
Good evening, presenting on the Fine Arts Education Act. The funds for this application covers our elementary arts program, grades K through sixth grade. Our the funding is, there's a calculation that they go off of, so it's an average of the 80th and 120th day counts, times 0.055 times the unit value. So the total for that will be 220,238.78 for upcoming school year. We covered 3 FTEs, 2 art teachers and 1 music teacher out of those funds. Most of that is being up by the FTEs, so if there is any funding available after that, then we purchase materials and supplies for the arts program, organizing programs, and conference. There's a FAEA conference that is available, I believe, in the winter time. And then NDI usually comes in, the National Dance Institute comes in and does some work with the elementary and we do a presentation for after they want to do the meeting. So that's what we use the funds. Stand some questions?
Ms. Sandel?
Mr. Chairman, or the argument is required or equal, does require approval, so that is. And then the second handout is just the applications that were turned in on April 26th. Those are all federal applications. Those didn't necessarily need for approval, but I just wanted you to have information. So that's Title 1, Title 2, Title 3, Title 4, and Title 5.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr.
I'd like to make a motion to approve elementary fine arts application.
A motion by Mr. Romero, that's second.
Second.
A second by Mr. Gonzalez, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. If that money don't be like me, that's the technology contract, like this period.
Two technology solutions today. The first and foremost is to place existing mechanical robots in the district. I did 3 vendors. What I chose
is actually our existing. Some of the deficits that we I agree with the contract. We are. But the fact of the technology is that, after the 3 years, we did not, which left us to repair, the existing Chromebooks. We certainly were not prepared for this. If you guys have seen the damage to these Chromebooks that the kids just inflict on them, and it's just amazing. So technology is designed to fail realistically on 5 seconds. Put that in the head of a student, and it's just chaos. These new devices are falling apart. I don't want to do that again. So what I've done here is I'm selecting a vendor that provides the best service and also delivers these Chromebooks. They deliver to each school. They have the cases put on. They personally put on cases of 250 Chromebooks that we used to augment our Chromebooks this year, and it took me a week for this case. So they put on cases, they pass it to them, they enter into our tool platform so that we can, all we really have to do is just scan them and they will deliver to each school, and they're on board to take our existing products at pretty much value. Part of the problem is that we live with a lot of plastic vendors that we have to recycle the cost. So they're going to go fair market value from the existing company, which we actually have. They got in 3 vendors. One of the vendors was actually trying to what service. We will no longer fix the Chromebooks. It's already made for 3 years. Chromebook breaks, we send it in, they send us with it. This makes the most sense to me. And they came in $12,000. That's been the process competitive. I have confidence in STL working on them. We use them to augment our existing Chromebooks with 250 purchased early in the year. Their contract, they maintain that contract. So the whole service thing works.
So, just on that question, so you in-house will not be fixing them, or they'll be sending them out and they'll be servicing.
Correct.
What is the turnaround time? I'm sure that varies depending on the issues.
Yes, they have local depots. They have depots, so they can get into school. We'll also have spares. We have the 250 that we purchased that will have to spares to help them.
So we'll have 250 on hand for spares. We have more students, if more break, whatever the case may be. STS keeps going.
Correct. So we will not be able to use. We were impressed this year that we struggled to keep from the consumer. I don't think the position there. The district.
So what's the maintenance? Is there maintenance going to be for the duration of contract?
Correct. It's called a white glove services 3-year contract. We still get manufacturer warranty. There are no companies. Maybe all of our friends are books. We can put it up to 150,000 per year for a lease, or it's 446,000 for 3 years.
But students are correct, and then at the end of their school year, or you guys service some, how does that work? I mean, my daughter's graduated this year, and she's coming in. In fact, this year, there was a student that transferred into a school district that didn't have one, because we didn't have it. So she gave her hers, and she did one person, my daughter did one person computer. Are we required to have these, children tournament, just so we can see the condition? Yeah. I know several.
Different programs that some people, some kids wanted to keep there because they already knew it. But they wanted to games and services. So they weren't always guaranteed the same Chromebook for their school. The problem there is that some students take really good care of their Chromebooks and they don't. And so students get upset when they get it. They take care of theirs, that it's just trashed. And if we never come up with a solution, as far as when they bring it back, how much of the parents should be responsible for?
We're trying to define it fairly. It's harder to almost at the problem is when we're failing, the technology is failing, and so I'm trying to maintain those, they just take a beat. That's why we're going to talk with the director.
I mean, I still, Mr. McCormick saying, like, if we just see it's abused, that it's cracked, busted all up, it's not technology failure, it's just the abuse on the Chromebook.
And we take notes on all of it. In our asset management system, so we know what it looks like. We charge the student appropriately a percentage based on how it's growing. And we're using the Hammer state. Those ones, in those cases, depending on the age, it's hard to charge full price for a product. There's certain product when we stage that. But I wasn't here when we moved out, so I did not know in the state of Congress what the connection.
What we did last year, third graders return their Chromebooks because they do have touch screen, so they return those ones for the upcoming kindergartners, and then seniors will return them. I believe also eighth graders. Those were the only three grades that returned their Chromebooks. Was like second graders do third grade. So if they had like a voting Chromebook, they would return it. And sometimes they would get the worst Chromebook, or, because I know 2 years ago, that was an issue. Students getting a good Chromebook and then they would get a trash one. So what they did was, they had to keep Chromebooks. So if you had like a voting Chromebook, that's on with that's your fault. But only seniors, third graders, and eighth graders return the Chromebooks. Other than that, the rest kept. And Mr. Adequan is here, so he may.
I do have more history. So the only reason these models were returned every single year every year is because that was added in the fall, and I was speaking with the superintendent. We in the academic department do not want to go with that, because we do have those students who do take pride in their equipment and they keep really good care of their devices. We pushed that as students keep them, except of course, from third grade, fourth grade, you have to change that. There's a three, fourth grade level, non-tough. So we pushed and pushed, please, let the students keep their devices. It was a no-go. The superintendent at that time thought that they needed to do that in the single year because we needed to do updates. They automatically, as long as they're online, they update. So in the last cycle, we said students keep them, except for the third graders and senior goals out and everything. That's great. It worked out perfect. But now this new set that's coming in, it's going to be again, what is the decision? Can we let those students keep them? Or are we let them every single year? And that's going to be the main question when we get this.
I think we need to devise some kind of policy possibly that states what we do, turn them in, like what age they need to turn in, so we can change them out, non-touchscreen, but also we need to devise something that puts levels, maybe the IT department gonna have to help us, like if it's this amount of damage, it's this speed, and if this amount of damage, it's this speed, because I don't agree with this, we need to do something because it's costing additional.
It's gonna be easier to do that now that we have new Chromebooks and we can charge a percentage based on total value. Like I said, that was hard to do because I did not know the state of the Chromebooks breaking and changing hands so frequently. It's really hard to hold the students accountable for the deficient Chromebook that they have received.
Which now superintendent, we do that. But Michelle, one suggestion too, with the kids to keep on, you only have a better count of energy, instead of keeping them on.
But not to say, there was a TikTok, you know, that went viral that was showing students how to grow up and work in their Chromebooks. And we see 4 of those.
So far, and I know you.
So it's an example of that, with that behaviors, they're paying for the full price.
So
Because it's malicious.
so how do we make parents level, like we should assess them to their accounts when they grad. Their seniors and they're good at the phone, we tell them how does that work?
Fees that you would assess to graduating seniors or those that leave schools, right? So you, those that leave out middle school, those were the units. I'm not sure, to be honest, if we have contracts on what they have to do, that we have contracts for the devices that they're receiving. And then there is that policy indicating that if they are damaged, beyond repair, then we if you don't have it, it be borrowed by the districts.
We do have this.
We will have to put in all of these devices this year. We will be shipping what we have back, so all of it will be returned.
Which STS will be. We were contracted on previously, so they're on the first take it out. 1,200 of those is a lot of plastic and you probably will be minutes. To get it, so. So you'll be collecting the still. And what comes to superintendent, how do we pay for these? Does it come out of technical money or does it come out of their, you can walk on the color, not?
This is something that we're working with the technology fund. There is a tech bond that's, we have spoken about that. That the board passed. This is not a formal. But that does enable the district to secure compliance. They also regulate and reduce the governance. And if we don't have enough there, then we go to the others.
Any other questions? We need to approve this agreement. Do I have a motion to approve the SPS technology contract? Have a motion by Mr. Romero. We have a second. I'll second it. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Thank you, Mr. Ray.
For our solution. We've had many issues with our current printing solution, due to our printing software. It's called PaperCut. The provider was DSI, and then 3 other vendors for the solution. DSI, in trying to keep the contract, bought out the new contract and reduced our monthly cost. $1,900. It's an excellent solution, and the excellent solution is native to the Epson printers. I've interviewed 2 other school districts that are using the solution in their sales level. The other vendors that have been bidding on this, bidding new printers, and there were another solution that was open source, similar to PaperCut, which we've had many issues. This is, in my opinion, they bought out the main contract, 38 payments for $42,000. But they had some because they reduced our payment again by $19,000, which is only payment $5,700 a month. These are heatless printers, again, with a native Epson printing solution. So they trust and so these are all improved vendors, your CEO, we'll have to run a team, the solutions. DSI, for those of the contracts in the state.
Any questions? Entertain a motion for the DSI maintenance agreement. Copiers for the copiers.
Make a motion to approve GSA maintenance agreement.
A motion by Mr. Gonzalez. All right, got a second? Second by Dr. Missouri. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Next item on the agenda, that would be unintended here to us.
Mr. President, this is to look at 2 policies. So place both of these policies in the board packets. The employment days and years allowed, indicates the number of days that staff include in the course of the year, and what can be, purchased back, if you will, for unused leave. I believe there was a question with the number of days, that could be included and sold back by employees. There is a statement in this particular policy, that states unused sick leave allowance, which has been credited to the employee shall be cumulative, but restricted to 120 days maximum. Employees accumulated within 40 days of sick leave will receive $25 for each 100 days maximum accumulated at the time of retirement. I do recommend that, this policy remain intact. It makes it, competitive with, other districts. It is very similar to others. They range between 30 and 40 days. All districts have them. But if you can get it as sell for our employees, and it also behooves us that, in the fact that we are short on substitutes. And it's, I think it really provides an incentive to our staff to not miss as many days because they're gonna get something in return. So, that from this, who are
So you,
recommending changes, I would recommend.
so you're saying that we are within what other districts are doing? So they're from 30 to 40, margin is 40. 40. On that recommendation, I make a motion that we approve. We need to approve it. We don't need to approve it, we're not moving policies. Any other question? Thank you, Ms. Sandoval. Next item on the agenda is student report. Oh, I'm sorry. Next item on the agenda is item 8, G3200, professional staff vacation policy.
So this policy is specific to professional staff, which is really employees. This particular policy allows, once again, staff to get paid for their unused leave. What I would like to read here is that unused time leave cumulative and it shall not exceed 120 days continuation of employment. No payment will be made for more than 40 days of unused time leave. And this is paid at their rates, at their hourly rates. Again, this is similar to many other districts. And again, I would recommend this remain active.
That's our third one.
This is
Is another. Before, we want to check on the ones we're trying to get this to pass because we could really have them. I like the nearest salary.
Yeah.
Because they're really.
it limits it. And what I see other districts do. And that's the big catch up. Some districts allow them to be purchased over the course of the year. So once they get relating 90 some days, I can sell back 20 days. And like other districts where individuals want to be with each sell back some third times to make up.
Do we have it involved with them?
We do not. But that would be a potential add-on. So right now, we want to change the to reduce it. Or
Any questions? If not, next item on the agenda is student report. No.
For May, for high school, or student council with a movie night. They show the speech. BPA with the nationals in Florida last week, May 8th to 10th. There was a performing arts and arts ceremony on May 12th in the venue. There was also a choir concert on May 13th. And upcoming, we have a band concert on May 15th, and they will also have a banquet on May 16th. We have a scholarship award ceremony for the seniors on May 15th. Artist prom and margin in Terry Tell on May 17th. Then senior week begins on May 19th through the 22nd, and graduation week. Memorial Middle School is currently having a dance in June. And we'll also be having a field day on May 20th, where we will be going to the rec center and having a barbecue on campus. Sierra Vista fourth graders will be going to the rec for the field day on May 2nd. And Los Niños have a performance today at extreme 13th and 14th in front of their parents. And we'll also be having a field day on May 21st.
Thank you.
So, by chance, did you make it to the movie night and the football field?
I did, there.
But then, the kids be on the football.
Yeah, it was very clear, we have to help us out, thank you so much. It was really clear, you can see it, you can hear everything. We're city council is planning on hosting some, hopefully now in the summer also. We can have a follow-up school. No issue. Yeah, we did, we're not allowed to sell revolution.
Right.
But other than that, we have one rule, we have Starbucks, all the stuff. There's Pedro's Bakery. I believe it was Spick and Span. And we gave out raffles and they won good bags and gift cards. We did have a good turnout and they are planning on having more in the future now that we know that football field would be also used for it.
Also appreciate the fact that that's the work we use for multi purpose and again for fundraisers and other organizations. The student council or the BPA, obviously, we're familiar, but that was a great idea over the success. Besides that. Because something
I don't, just want to mention about the schedule of everything, what's going on. To the comes to take the resolution and stuff.
Kindergarten is tomorrow,
During the day,
starting at 8:30.
I know it's been one of the things on Tuesday. And then there was one last night, and then, I know you spoke really fast, I think I couldn't catch all of it, and so we have kindergarten resolution tomorrow. And then what else? We have a prom Saturday. Yes, I saw that, that's on the school phone.
Yeah. Tomorrow night. And then at work, anyway, I'm not gonna mention that on Sunday at 2.
We're in Scotland. Oh, it's fun. It's hard because we still have the folks when they're safe, but they still think softball teams a lot of things, unfortunately. But on the same time, I don't know why MMA pushed sports and Formula B, but usually the athletics and the for student games seems like we're at graduation.
First, adding column to another challenge.
But that, West Las Vegas graduates on Saturday, and if they make the state championship game, they will go to their 10-year graduation.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough.
Yeah, it's graduating as well, and athletics is having a big on Sunday, 18.
The softball thing on the 20th.
I don't know when they're coming, all day.
So I wanted to make sure that the graduation prom was, I'm gonna be announcing for softball. Thank you, Mr. Mount. Next item on the agenda is superintendent report.
I was relatively brief, but I had a meeting a couple weeks ago. I just want to highlight, our staff, all of our staff, teachers, traditional staff, coaches, classes, the work that they have this year, the AP job. And attempted to attend activities that have taken place over the course of the year. It is really phenomenal the amount of work and dedication that the kids and the staff put into their work. Right. On the knowledge from everything that they do and all of our staff. I do want to have a special shout out to retirees that we have this year. We do have Mr. David Ron, Steve Hospital, and Cindy Ravi, that have been involved us at this point in time. That they survey. As I mentioned in recent text message, KFK reached out to me and they do want to delay or they table our request over for their June board meeting. They need to do some calculations, more some restructuring to their calculation. To take a look at a 1 through 8 grade setting versus I guess the typical A6 or the typical 6-8 school. So they need to do some work on their side. And then they asked me to do some research on hiring as to why Las Vegas has a structure of school that we have right now. So for example, most seniors finds that in K-3, the Sierra Vista or 6. So if anybody can give me kind of history of what that was it was, that's why I needed to find GPSFA. According to this, I was pretty optimistic that our request is going to be honored. It's just back.
I know you've been here longest 10, 11 years. I don't know, I'm now hired you, I don't know, with what's the next K3, or was that at least the 4 to 6, or?
That's it, that's the way. Each one teams kind of came up with it, we were putting together our plan for recycling.
Okay.
And it would just be here to do it, just put it that way, and especially with the build, there wasn't gonna be enough room to do 6, 7, and 8, like we have, we had a room. So they went ahead and just gave the thing, the 3rd, so at least the 4th or 6th, we want to tell you.
That would have been what we started to probably just before we had already somebody already jumped on the needles, but those needles was emerging only. In 2018. And ECC was kindergarten prior to. So I rejected them and let them know. What else do I have on here? I do have a listing of our vacancies, what we have open and what we have closed. You know, we're still receiving applications. We are interviewing tomorrow for district literacy coaches and a coordinator. But I do want to make an announcement. I have positions and individuals have accepted. One of the individuals is here with us tonight, Mr. Aaron Vasquez. Has been offered and has accepted the middle school principal position.
Mr. Quintana, members of the board, superintendent is on the wall. I'm Aaron Vasquez, I'm coming over from North ISD. Currently, going to fulfill my contract there as an athletic director, assistant principal, Title IX coordinator, co-district testing coordinator, so 2 bus drivers. So kind of the bus buddy of the district for a little bit. I did come over from Texas transplant. Been here for about 2.5 years. Came over from 6A, was a head football coach out there, athletic director, department coordinator, kind of done it all, social studies teacher out there in Texas. So I'm going to be hitting the year at a team. I'm excited to come over to this district. I live in the community. Not related to anybody, don't know anybody, or is that what you do here? You pick a spot on the map and here we are, so, you know, sometimes God wants you to place it, this is where I'm supposed to be. So that's kind of how I got here. So if you guys didn't have any questions for me or anything like that, I could answer those now. Welcome, thank you.
The other non, they were unable to be here this evening, but I offered and the offer was accepted. Ms. Vanessa Garcia is our new associate superintendent. And Ms. Melissa Hill, who was at the middle school, will be replacing Ms. Vanessa Garcia as the summer teacher. I will have informally get introduced in our duty, just so we can acknowledge that those are the. With that, any
questions?
No, so I see a lot of report is attached, I did review our audit. We do have 3 audit findings, one which is a repeat audit finding.
Thank you, that is a big one. Sorry for that.
They took the come.
They typically do, this is an oversight, I was in, Hostess and my part, have discussed that they would be here in May and, we did not reach out to them, so, the audit is, presented to you, and I did highlight the pages that show the audit, findings for you, and that is.
It was presented to the audit committee, but you can't put it out until the state approves it.
Yes, and they did it, it is, it is on the website.
It was released on March 26th, I believe.
Yes. So if you refer to page 120, 127 of the audit, it does give us, the 3 audit findings.
Mr. Gardner will be here for this, in June.
He will be here in June.
To ask a few questions around it.
I'm going to speak to you a little bit about what you know, but of course, and 3 audit findings that we had, was a cash management, finding, significant efficiency. That is basically in the district, has failed to maintain sufficient cash balance, to cover the operational and program expenditures. This has been a great finding, very well, frankly, but we have, according to this, have many questions in this finding. There is a management response, in where, the cash is monitored on a regular basis. We will continue to review cash balances on a monthly basis. So Ms. Phillips has been tracking this. What we are doing also is we cut expenditures, because of purchasing early, and all departments are being required to close up all purchase orders. So we don't have received anything, we're closing those out, we'll make sure that we have the items in for of previous years, so that should help us out. In removing this.
And this is the finding that they have like over percentage of the application in, right? This is like one out of 20.
This primarily what has been happening is operational and federal grants versus cost. So the reimbursements were not being done. So that particular thing. And then this is similar, and the second one is the prior period adjustment, material weakness. And what this one is about, and this finding is about, identified last year, we brought it up again, this year. This is the failure to incorrectly classify individuals and not deducting ERB services on employer side. Yeah. Employee side, so this, it goes back to about 12 years, about 13 years. So this is something that is something that fixing. The deadline that they were given is to have all this. So the cost of the district is, and that is, the backup contribution for employer, side.
And those.
So. That may also have another, depending on what the numbers come out to be, may have a significant impact to our budget.
So if we don't know that number as of right now, but when we do find out that number, is that something that we might have to ask for emergency supplemental funding from TV or?
Well, based on having balance, the budget, cash balance, it exceeds that.
And they are gonna go back 12 years.
That would be identified as the number of employees that we have. And again, this would be identified. This was in August that 19 employees were.
Are those 19 employees, are they still all employed there?
Yes. It was.
All of them? Oh.
They're finding, what, I mean, regarding, people that would be taken home, school people that would be taken home. We, supervising this one. Very obvious, that employee had been taking people, which is the violation of district policy. Additionally, was, fringe benefit deductions. This one, if I remember correctly, from the meeting, indicates that there will be a payback, or there has to be a payback for this, and the W2 would have to be adjusted.
Superintendent, my conversation with Mr. Gardner, I did inform him that there was more than one who would be doing it, and he said that all employees who have it would have to do the feedback to practice and family. So if we can look into how many people do the issue at that time. And I would just like to add, of course, the cash management, this issue efficiency, that's come 3 years ago. So obviously there's been a failure between board setting our budget and the superintendent overlooks that budget. So is there a chance that we have, and this is, is there a chance that we run out of funds possibly because of that segment? Correct? In line.
So, it's a goal has been over the course of the school year that we, manage all of our budgets, and that we are correctly classifying expenditures according part of our monthly basis. I know that this was indicated that this was coming as a result of the American Recovery Plan funding, which was $70 that we no longer have in the district. So that could have been a result of the finding. But we shut down the majority of our expenses and expenditures and. So, sorry, I won't be done with John, but number 2, we.
And of course, we want to excuse me, loss of our enrollment, there's many factors that come into this, but thank you for the things, all the different factors and moving forward, we also want to make sure that.
This is, they will be working like misunderstood. Documentation.
Sure. I'm sure we'll go into more detail in the perspective. Thank you for watching.
No other questions? If that on agenda is executive session.
We're gonna make more to the entering executive session.
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second. Roll call please.
Board Member James Turner. Board Member Dave Uvilla. Board Secretary, Dr. Jordan Peter. Board Vice President, Paul Gonzalez.
Yes.
Board President, Michael Quintana.
Yes, the Board of Education will convene in closed session pursuant to MRSA 1978, section 1051H, discuss the limited personnel line. NSA 1978, section 1051H, and 7, discussion of brand pending litigation. 7.1.